Hi everyone, my name is Henry Wijaya. Welcome to this tutorial for Two Step by Ed Sheeran from his latest album Equals. This tutorial is based on Ed Sheeran's live performance, and this is the second part of the tutorial on how to play two-step with a loop pedal. If you want to play the song acoustics only with your guitar, please check the first part of this tutorial on how to play two-step acoustic. Now let's get started with this tutorial. This tutorial will be divided into 3 sections. In the first one, I'll show you how I set up the tracks in my loop pedal to play this song. In the second one, I'll show you how to build the loop arrangement for this song. And finally, in the third one, I'll show you how to play the song using the loop pedal. So this is how I set up the tracks in my loop pedal, Boss RC300. So the first track, track 1, is reserved for bass. And the second one, track 2, is reserved for melody. Basically, this is the main riff of the song. And the third track, track 3, is reserved for beat. And now let's go one by one. When I build the initial loop, I usually start with track number 3, the beat. Inside this track, I will play beatboxing, guitar, and boom. Boom here means the drum. Now there's a little note here. I choose to save these 3 parts inside track 3 because this track is located the nearest to my loop microphone. So depending on how you place your loop microphone, you might want to switch this into track 1 at the other corner. But for me, this works best because the mic for my loop is located near track 3. Okay, so track 3, it consists of 3 sub-parts, the beatboxing, guitar, and boom. Now for the first and second part, you will need to perform them together. Now remember that we want to be efficient when we build the loop arrangement, because if not, then you'll have to repeat the loop unnecessarily too many times, and that will become boring for your audience. So we need to try to input each part correctly the first time, so we don't repeat too many times. Be efficient. I feel like that's the key. Okay, and the beatboxing and the guitar here, you need to input them together. Now let's start with the first one, beatboxing first. It's basically like this. Check. Okay, let me repeat one more time. Check. I know I sound silly there, but that's what you need to do. Later on, you will do it more quickly. Right? But slowly it's like that. And you will need to do that 8 times. Now, what I do is, every time I say check, I usually count in my mind like 1. So, check 1, check 2, check 3. So I do that for 8 times, and then when I go back to 1, that's where the loop starts again. Okay, so the beatboxing is like that. Okay, so that's the beatboxing part. And for the guitar, let's switch the camera angle here. The guitar part is actually the same with the beatboxing part. So if you don't feel comfortable doing beatboxing, you can just skip that part. Just do it with the guitar. However, when Ed Sheeran does this, he usually plays them both and together. Okay, so the guitar sound is like this. again. So you use your left hand fingers to keep the strings from ringing or making any sound. And then your right hand fingers, you use this side of your thumb, the inside of your thumb, to do this. Followed by this, using the rest of your fingers. And then, okay, so in total, okay, make sure to use your left hand fingers to mute the strings. Now in normal speed, it goes like this. Okay, and you need to repeat that also 8 times. So you also want to count in your head, like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. So that's the guitar part. In actuality, you need to do the beatboxing and the guitar part together. So it should sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then that's where you press the track and then you finish and start the loop for track 3. Track 3 is not quite finished yet though. There's still one more thing that you need to input, which is the boom or the drum sound, this sound. So you use your left hand fingers to mute the strings, to keep the strings from ringing. And then you use your right hand fingers to hit this part of the guitar, to produce this boom sound, okay? And the trick is, when you finish the loop, the first loop, and you hear this first sound, you need to immediately follow with the boom. In my experience, if you don't do that, you will lose track of where you are in the loop. So pay attention. As soon as you finish the loop, and then you hear this, the first one, you quickly follow with the boom right away. Okay, so the boom goes like this. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. And that's where you finish the loop again. Okay, so again, slowly. Okay, so that's the boom. Feel free to check my example and repeat or slow down as many times as you want to see this part. I feel like this one is really tricky. The key is to quickly follow with the boom, so you do not lose track of where you are in the loop. Okay, and that's how the boom goes. When you are done with the boom sound, so you are done with track number 3. So the next step is to start with track number 1, or to add the bass line. Okay, there are 2 notes here before we start with the bass line. The first one is, Ed Sheeran usually uses the MIDI controller, so he does not use the guitar to produce the bass line. I don't have any, and I don't plan to buy any anytime soon. But if you do have MIDI controller, please feel free to use it to produce the bass line. And the second one is, it's also tricky, the same as the boom, like not to get lost in where you are in the loop. So the trick is, as soon as you start doing the boom, in your mind, you need to start playing, singing, humming the sound of the bass, so you know where you are. Okay, so as soon as boom, 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 boom. So that's how I usually do it. As soon I do the boom, in my mind I start singing, playing, or humming the sound of the bass. Okay, now let's get to the bass line itself. I'll switch the camera here. Okay, and here's the bass line. We start with the bass of E here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So on the 7th fret and the 5th string. So E, go to G, to D, back to E, to C, to B minor, C, to D, and E minor. And we go back to the beginning of the bass line. Okay, so slowly it goes like this. Okay, and that's the bass line for track number 1. When you're done with the bass line, the next part is to input the riff or the main melody of the song into track number 2. Okay, now it's not actually that complicated, but yes, it's quite tricky to play, especially when you're using a loop pedal, because if you ever make even a slight mistake, that mistake will be replayed again and again and again by the loop pedal. So you need to practice this part quite well. If you need a more detailed explanation on this part, how to play the riff, please check the previous tutorial, part 1, on how to play 2 steps acoustic. Okay, now first pay attention on the basic chord progression. You can see here, it consists of E minor, G, D, E minor, C, B minor, C, and then D, or D on D sharp. We'll talk about that later. But you can see some chords here are inside a bracket because they are special. You'll just play those chords a little bit before you switch to the next chord. Okay, now the second thing is the finger picking patterns. It's bass 4-2, bass 4-2, bass 4, bass 4-2, and then bass 4-2. But the last line is inside a bracket, so it's easy to know this one is reserved for the chords inside the bracket. 4 and 2 here means the string. Okay, now let me give you an example using E minor and G. Place the left hand fingers in the position of E minor, and then the right hand fingers, thumb on the bass, index finger on the 4th string, and the middle finger for the 2nd string. We are going to skip the 3rd string, so be careful not to hit the 3rd string. Now, if you need the finger positioning for its chord, again, check the first tutorial. Okay, now it goes like this: bass 4-2, bass 4-2, bass 4, bass 4-2, and then in the bracket, quickly switch to G, bass 4-2. And it's the same with D, E minor, C, B minor, and C and D. Okay, so let me do it once again, now without me speaking them out. The same with D and E minor. And then C and B minor. And then C and D. Okay, now special note here, if you want to follow the tone in the album version, instead of D, you need to play D on D sharp. So the bass is on D sharp. So the last part become like this. However, during his live performance with loop pedal, I think Ed Sheeran just plays the normal D. But it's up to you. Okay, so together from the top in a faster speed, it goes like this. Okay, you will need to play it even faster actually if you want to play the song with loop pedal. So, like this. Okay. It's wonderful if you can just play that once and you get everything correct. But if not, well, try to repeat that one more time. But maybe not more than twice, because that's gonna make the loop boring and inefficient. But that's basically how you play the riff. So after you finish building the whole loop arrangement, what comes next is performing the song, playing the song. Okay? So in the beginning, all tracks are playing. When you start singing the verse, I had a bad week, then you turn off track number 3. And you sing along to track number 1, the bass, and track number 2, the melody. So I usually play track number 1, the bass. However, if you just want to sing to the melody, it's okay. I just find that too quiet. So it's up to you. And then when you get to all of my stress right down, you play track number 3. You add track number 3, the beat. Okay, and that's how you perform the verse. In the pre-chorus, you're singing along to all tracks. However, in the second half, when you get to seeing through a picture, then you turn off track 3 to make the music quieter. And by the end of pre-chorus, when you reach where the music plays, then you turn off everything. You stop everything. Okay? And then you play everything back as soon as you reach "We'll Go All Night." Okay. And you also need to add a guitar part here. The guitar part is quite simple. We use the same chord progression, and now you play the open chords. So, E minor. So you keep the fourth finger and the pinky finger here all the time, right? So the second and the first string. So you keep them here all the time. So E minor like this, and G like this. You don't need your index finger. And then G, D, C is like this. And then B minor is like this. So this B minor. Okay. But if you want to play it normally like E minor, G, D, and then B minor, that's also okay. But Ed Sheeran usually plays it like that. So. with a woman I love. All my troubles to nothing when I'm in your eyes. Electrified, we'll keep turning up and go all night. Okay, as for the strumming pattern, I feel like it's not really a big deal. Like you can play whichever pattern works with the music arrangement, with the loop arrangement. So that should be okay. Try not to make the song overcrowded with the strumming pattern. The post-chorus is the same with chorus. You play all tracks and you also play the guitar. And then when you get to verse 2, what do you reckon? Is it just me? The same, you turn off track number 3 and you sing along to track number 2 melody and the bass. Feel free to turn off the bass if you feel that's too loud. Okay, and then in the middle, when you get to I've got nothing left right now, you turn back on track number 3, the beat, to make it more lively. And you go like that to the pre-chorus number 2. It's shorter, so you just sing along to all tracks, and then you stop everything by the end. When you head out to the place, so you stop everything and then you go back to chorus. Chorus the same with the first one. You play all tracks and you add guitar track. And then you get to post-chorus, number 2, the last part of the song. Basically, it's the same part repeated twice. In the first part, you play everything and also with the guitar. But then in the second part, you turn off track number 3. So you only sing along to track number 1 and number 2 and with the guitar. And then when you reach the end, to go all night, you stop everything and you stop the guitar. And you finish performing the song. Right, so that's it. That's how you play 2 steps using a loop pedal. Now, I would say that performing the song is not that complicated. The tricky part is on building the loop in the loop arrangement. Okay, but I feel like with some practice, I think you can do it. We can do it. So it's okay. Leave me some comments, questions, feedbacks, inputs, whatever down below. I'll make sure to read them and get back to you as soon as possible. I would really appreciate it if you could hit likes and subscribe and share the video so I can grow this channel. I would really appreciate it. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Let me know if you have particular song that you want me to make tutorial for. Alright, have a good day. Bye bye.